Picture a kid who can recite every fact about dinosaurs for 3 hours straight while the adults around him exchange worried glances. Now rewind that same brain 50,000 years into a hunting band with no schools, no offices, no small talk to perform. That exact mind might not have been tolerated. It might have been essential. We've built an entire vocabulary for minds like this. Odd, too intense, not a team player. Autism gets treated as a glitch to smooth out. But strip away the modern classroom, the office, the entire structure that decided what a normal brain looks like, and a different picture emerges. The common assumption is that autism must be a modern phenomenon, that a harsh ancient world would have discarded anyone who wasn't socially sharp and perfectly adaptable. But that's not actually how survival works. A group where every mind is identical is fragile. Everyone shares the same blind spots, and the same threat trips up the entire tribe at once. Real resilience comes from cognitive diversity, an idea researchers now call complementary cognition, the theory that human groups thrived not by being full of similar thinkers, but by combining radically different cognitive styles into something stronger than any single style alone. Take intense, narrow focus. The special interest so often flagged as a problem in classrooms and workplaces. In an ancestral setting, survival depended on deep expert knowledge. Which plants were edible, how animals migrated, how to read a single track in the dirt. Someone had to hold that knowledge with obsessive precision. A mind built to lock onto one subject and absorb it relentlessly isn't a liability there. It's the tribe's living library. If reframing what we think we know about the human mind interests you, subscribing means you'll catch every deep dive like this. Attention to fine detail works the same way. In modern life, noticing every small inconsistency can feel like a curse. In the ancestral world, it was survival infrastructure, spotting the subtle track that meant prey was near, or the one visual detail separating a safe berry from a lethal one. That same drive toward systemizing, understanding exactly how something works, likely produced the era's best toolmakers, refining techniques like flint knapping, with a level of precision generalist thinkers wouldn't bother pursuing. Then there's radical honesty, a trait often framed as a social deficit today. In a small group where survival depended entirely on trust, the person incapable of deception wasn't awkward. They were the most reliable person in the band. Closely related is resistance to social pressure. Groupthink can march an entire tribe toward disaster together. The person whose mind doesn't get swept up in consensus, who calmly notices, "That doesn't add up," may have been the one who kept the group from a catastrophic mistake. Heightened sensory perception cuts both ways. In a world of fluorescent lights and traffic noise, it's often exhausting. But out in open land, a sensory system tuned to catch the faintest sound or smell first was an early warning system for the whole group. And a strong preference for consistent routine mattered enormously in a world with no writing. Someone had to preserve the exact steps for preparing food safely or performing a ritual correctly, generation after generation, without letting the details drift. Put together, this isn't a list of deficits. It's a list of essential, complementary roles. The socially fluent networker who held relationships together mattered enormously too. But a tribe made entirely of social generalists, with no specialists, no detail catchers, no truth tellers, would have been weaker for it. Complementary cognition means these two types of minds covered each other's blind spots, rather than competing to be normal. Now, the crucial caveat. None of this means autism is simply a superpower, and the real challenges people face shouldn't be minimized. Autism spans a wide spectrum. For some, it looks like the specialist described here. For others, it involves profound, daily difficulty and a genuine need for support that no amount of historical reframing changes. The ancient world wasn't some accepting utopia either. It was often brutal, and not every tribe embraced people who were different. The point isn't that the past was kind. It's narrower. These traits weren't inherently useless, and there were real contexts where they conferred a genuine advantage. So what actually changed isn't the brain. It's the environment. We built open-plan offices, constant small talk, and school systems optimized to produce flexible generalists, a world that happens to be hostile to exactly this kind of mind, and then labeled the mind disordered for struggling inside a world built against it. A mind isn't broken simply because it doesn't fit a classroom or a cubicle, any more than a deep-sea creature is broken for struggling in a desert. If you've ever felt out of step with the social world, going deep instead of wide, noticing what others miss, unable to play social games, needing your routines, you may not be a failed version of normal. You may be a specialist, born into a world that forgot it was built by specialists in the first place. For most of human history, minds like this weren't a problem to manage. They were part of the reason any of us survived at all.